In the aftermath of the second Death Star's destruction, several advisors on the Imperial Ruling Council had perished, including Sima Lu and Janus Grigatus. But in reality, the loss of these individuals had little or no impact on the collective body of the Ruling Council and the advisors back on Coruscant. This video looks at the history of the Empire's Ruling Council and how it was governed throughout its existence as a functioning body of the Galactic Empire even after the death of Emperor Palpatine. For the majority of the Galactic Empire's reign, Emperor Palpatine was a reclusive figure who subtly pressed his will upon his advisors to implement the intricacies of Imperial policy. His most trusted Imperial followers sat on the Imperial Ruling Council as part of Palpatine's inner circle. During the time of the New Order, it was the most powerful collective body in the galaxy, which lasted in various forms of government from 19 BBY until it was dissolved entirely in 11 ABY. While Palpatine was Emperor, the Council managed the daily affairs of the Empire and carried out the Emperor's will. Palpatine's vision for the galaxy and idealism was shared by the Council members, and they displayed their loyalty to him, but also for their own personal gain. The Ruling Council originally had its roots embedded to a small group of supporters who Palpatine specifically gathered around him while still the Senator of Naboo. Among these individuals during the Empire's reign, Saint Pestige and Ars Danga remained the most important members of the Council until the final year of its existence prior to the Emperor's death in 4 ABY. Over time, the Emperor allowed members of the Council to build their own power bases, but jealousy, rivalry and paranoia kept each of their personal ambitions under control. A constant political struggle on their own made them dependent on the Emperor's support, given their status. However, Palpatine's thirst for power was an unhealthy impact on Imperial administration and the Empire's political efficiencies. The Grand Vizier Saint Pestige was the head of the Imperial Ruling Council and chief deputy to the Emperor himself. Members who attended the Ruling Council were addressed as lords, and technically they presided over the imperial policy and strategy of the Empire. And due to their extreme rivalry, they formed a society composed of twisted backstabbers. In 4 ABY, when the second Death Star was destroyed by the Rebel Alliance, word spread to Coruscant, where the Imperial Ruling Council heard of the Emperor's death and realised they were merely implementing the legacy of a dead political visionary rather than the will of a living ruler. However, with only the ghost of Palpatine's authority behind them, they had lost much of their power and purpose, not least the tyrant's force mastery. Saint Pestige immediately became the Emperor by proxy and ruled as sovereign of the Empire. He also kept his title of Grand Vizier until he was stripped of it by other Imperial advisors. The issue with Pestige as the interim Emperor was, although he was primarily a functionary counsellor, friend and courtier to Palpatine, he was not particularly skilled in the New Order's administrative affairs and lacked the strong leadership required at the time for the Empire to handle the growing opposition posed by the New Republic. Meanwhile, powerful Imperials such as Ardus Kane, Zinj, Truton Teradok, Blitzer Harsk and Sander Delvados broke away from Imperial Centre's orders to form their own Imperial territories. The loyal remnants of the remaining Galactic Empire's forces were severely reduced, making it extremely difficult for the remaining Imperial leaders to keep a grip on what power they had left. Not only did Saint Pestige struggle to hold on to Imperial power, but a secret political clique of dissidents began to challenge his leadership as regent from the shadows. Although Pestige had support from among some of the sections of the Council, including Sarsev Quest and some of the Imperial Royal Guard, a rift had emerged between the dissidents and the interim Emperor. The Director of Imperial Intelligence, Yasani Isard, pulled the strings. She regarded Pestige and the Council alike as incompetents who had to be removed to ensure the New Order's survival, and so she played both sides off against each other. After the disastrous defeat at the strategically important world of Brental 4, the interim Emperor lost face with the Council and was set up by Isard to certainly fail and undermine his position. Isard eventually established a dictatorship with herself as Empress in all but name, after Pestige fled Coruscant to Citric hegemony and was eliminated by Dalek Krenel. She also removed her other opponents, General Palta Carvin and others. Remarkably, some of the former Imperial Council members survived Isard's wrath, including Ars Denga and Sarsev Quest, who remained within the Imperial Court's circles. Isard's reign on Coruscant was cut short before she was forced to retreat to Thyfera. Denga and Quest found themselves supporting the return of Grand Admiral Thrawn as Supreme Commander, and both considered granting him the title of Emperor if he was successful, still assuming they could control him afterwards. Despite Thrawn's death, surprisingly the Empire regained Coruscant from the New Republic, but swiftly the remnants of the Imperial Ruling Council plunged into chaotic civil war for power, which eventually saw the return of the reborn Palpatine. Even the return of Palpatine did not last, and he was betrayed by Carnor Jax, who after Palpatine's death at the hands of the New Republic, took his place as the new Emperor. By this time the Interim Ruling Council had formed on Ord Cantrell, but Jax was assassinated at the hands of the former Royal Guard Kir Kanos. The military general Red Wessel removed Quest from power, and eventually the Interim Ruling Council voted Xandil Karavas as Emperor. However, his reign was cut even shorter by the arrival of Kir Kanos, seeking revenge on anyone who played part in the conspiracy to kill the reborn Emperor. In the aftermath of further Imperial splintering in 11 ABY, what was left of the Imperial Ruling Council was dissolved, and the Imperial Remnant was born when 13 warlord factions on the Outer Rim were unified in 12 ABY, which was governed by the Council of Moffs. And in doing so, this put an end to the group known as the Imperial Ruling Council.